with this deal, we cut off every single one of Iran's pathways to a nuclear program, a nuclear weapons program. And Iran's nuclear program will be under severe limits for many years. Without a deal, those pathways remain open. There would be no limits to Iran's nuclear program, and Iran could move closer to a nuclear bomb.
And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. I'm Joe Concha, joined by my co-host, Rick Unger, and filling out the panel tonight, Rothman Jandovitz. President Obama addressed reporters today to discuss the nuclear deal with Iran, but things didn't go smoothly for the president.
It is incumbent on the critics of this deal to explain how an American president is in a worse position 12, 13, 14, 15 years from now, if, in fact, at that point Iran says we're going to pull out of the NPT, kick out inspectors, and go for a nuclear bomb.
Now, Major Garrett at CBS then questioned the president about the 4 Americans in Iranian jails.
As you well know, there are 4 Americans in Iran, 3 held on trumped-up charges, according to your administration, 1 whereabouts unknown. Can you tell the country, sir, why you are content with all the fanfare around this deal to leave the conscience of this nation and the strength of this nation unaccounted for in relation to these 4 Americans?
The notion that I am content as I celebrate with American citizens languishing in Iranian jails? Major, that's nonsense. And you should know better. I've met with the families of some of those folks. Nobody's content.
And let's bring in Jim Hanson, the Executive Vice President at the Center for Security Policy. Jim, welcome back.
Good to be with you.
So I'm torn on Major Garrett's question. Do you think it was grandstanding on his part, or was it simply a tough question to a president that's not used to getting too many tough questions in those situations?
Yeah, I mean, President Obama is the king of hitting softballs and not having to take it. He takes a few more questions than Hillary, but not many. He had every right to expect that question, knowing that that was one of the things that should have been in this deal in the first place. So he was gaming the system and sadly pretending that it wasn't something that should have happened first.
Jim, it's Rick Unger. I just kind of taking in what you said. I actually agree it should have been in the deal. I think it was the way the question was asked more than the fact that there was a question about it. But that said, here's what I really like to know from you. I've been spending 2 days digging into the agreement itself. From what I've been able to learn talking to some physicists that I've come across who are nuclear physicists, the issue over how we go about inspecting and how it went from being told as we were that it would be anytime, anywhere. And after we're done with the interview, I have a few things to say about that because I think the president wasn't truthful. But the fact that it's 24 days, I'm led to believe now that 24 days would be more than enough time to pick up nuclear signatures anywhere we would go to inspect. So are we making a mountain out of a molehill when we worry about that?
No, it's kind of a joke that we're pretending we're going to get to go everywhere their nuclear program is. They've said we're not. The deal says we're not. So there's no question that we don't know all of the things about their program, and even the things we know, they're not going to let us see in a timely fashion or in some cases at all. So we blew this deal when we allowed them enrichment, not when we said you can have some enrichment and we'll try and keep up with your obfuscation of the program. That was the big mistake.
Do you want to offer us your alternative, how you would have done it?
Oh, I would not have made a deal with the mullahs. We can't trust them.
Well, then wouldn't they be building a bomb?
They would be building a bomb. We should have kept our policy at regime change and attempted to get a rational regime in place who wouldn't want to build nuclear weapons.
How was that going for us?
Well, we stopped. Obama had a chance to do it in 2009. He let those Iranians die in the streets instead of standing up for him. So he hasn't got much of a leg to stand on as far as saying he's got the negotiating partners he earned.
So, Jim, how do you think this all works out? Do you think Iran basically continues, because they'll still, obviously, the military sites, like you mentioned, we can't inspect everywhere, like military sites, which would kind of be a little important. So Iran still continues to build a bomb. Does this then compel Saudi Arabia to move ahead even faster with building theirs and starting an arms race in the Middle East?
I would assume that there is either a Pakistani bomb in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia or on a plane en route. And they're not the only ones. The Emiratis will get one, and at this point, it'll be soon enough. If the Iranians don't have one already, they'll finish theirs, because this program or this deal just legitimized their nuclear program, and they will finish their bomb this way or buy one. So we've got a nuclear Middle East where before we had the rational Israelis, now we've got the irrational Iranian regime and everybody else who thinks they're crazy bombing up as well. There's no upside to this at all.
Well, Jim, I'll make sure that I'm not on that plane from Pakistan to Riyadh, just because if something goes wrong, you don't want to be on that flight. So, anyway, Jim Hanson, Executive Vice President at the Center for Security Policy. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
You got it.
Okay, Noah, quickly.
The president said rather self-righteously and indignantly that it's up to the opponents of this deal to say why it's a problem 10, 15 years ago. Well, the fact that he caved at the very last minute to eliminating the arms embargo and the ballistic missile embargo against Iran leaves it a better armed, richer, better funded country. The Russians gave them S-300 surface-to-air missiles just 6 months ago. We're less prepared today than we were 6 months ago to take out this program, let alone 10, 15 years from now.
Linda, last word, 10 seconds.
I don't understand how this deal can go through, but it remains to be seen whether the Republicans and Democrats can get enough votes to do something about it.
There's so much to be said still.
There's a lot to talk about tonight in all of our segments. Anyway, go to newsmaxtv.com/comments and let your voice be heard on this. Up next, a new poll says Donald Trump is almost as popular as Jeb Bush. Stay tuned.